When my grandfather passed away, the family mansion turned into a battlefield disguised as a funeral. Everyone dressed in black, their eyes glistening with fake tears, but I could see the greed lurking behind each face. My uncles, aunts, and cousins weren't mourning his death, they were calculating their inheritance. Grandpa had been a wealthy man. He built a business empire from scratch, owning hotels, lands, and stocks worth millions. Naturally, everyone assumed his will would turn them into millionaires overnight. I didn't. Not because I didn't love him, but because I knew I had never been one of his favorites. While others spent summers at his mansion, enjoying luxury, I lived quietly with my mother in a small apartment, far from the city. My father, his eldest son, had walked away from the family business years ago, choosing a simpler life. Grandpa never forgave him for that decision, and by extension, he kept me at a distance too. Still, I respected him. I admired his strength and discipline, even if I rarely received his affection. The day of the funeral, after the rituals, the lawyer gathered the family in the grand living room. The atmosphere turned heavy, not because of grief, but because everyone's eyes were locked on the thick envelope in his hands. According to the last will and testament of Mr. Charles Anderson, the lawyer began, his voice steady. I looked around. My cousins leaned forward, practically drooling. My aunts clutched their pearls, already planning how they'd spend their shares. My uncles whispered to each other, calculating numbers. When the lawyer started reading the allocations, gasps echoed across the room. Millions of dollars were being divided like slices of cake. Properties to my uncles, jewelry to my aunts, trust funds for my cousins. It was a rain of fortune. And then, finally, the lawyer said my name. To Daniel Anderson, I leave a single plane ticket. The room went silent, then burst into muffled laughter. My cousins chuckled, my aunts exchanged mocking looks, and even my uncles smirked. One of them whispered, "Guess he really was the black sheep." I felt my face flush with embarrassment. A plane ticket? Was that all I was worth to my grandfather? Did he truly think so little of me? The lawyer handed me a small envelope. Inside was a ticket, one way, to a country I had never visited before, Iceland. Confused, humiliated, and angry, I left the mansion without another word. A week later, I sat at the airport holding the ticket. Part of me wanted to throw it away, but something inside pushed me to go. Maybe, just maybe, there was a reason behind this strange inheritance. When I arrived in Reykjavik, Iceland's capital, the crisp air hit me like a new beginning. On the back of the ticket, I found a handwritten note. Daniel, if you're reading this, it means I'm gone. You may wonder why I left you only a plane ticket. The answer is simple. You are the only one I trust to follow it. There is something I want you to find. Go to the address written below. Grandpa. Beneath his signature was an address. My heart raced as I followed it. The place turned out to be a small, cozy cottage on the outskirts of a village. An old man greeted me. He introduced himself as one of Grandpa's closest friends. "I was told you'd come," he said, handing me a key. "Your grandfather wanted you to have this." Inside the cottage, I discovered journals, maps, and documents. To my shock, they revealed a part of my grandfather's life none of the family had known. Long before building his empire, he had invested in land here in Iceland, vast acres untouched by industry, full of natural beauty and potential. But that wasn't the real treasure. In the final journal entry, Grandpa wrote, "I gave money to the others, but I give Daniel something greater, responsibility. Wealth can be wasted, but vision builds legacies. These lands are now his. Let him decide their future." Tears filled my eyes as the truth sank in. He hadn't overlooked me. He had chosen me for something bigger than quick riches. While the others were handed money they would likely waste, I had been entrusted with a fortune hidden in responsibility and potential. Over the next few days, I explored the land, mountains, hot springs, breathtaking valleys. Ideas flooded my mind. Eco-resorts, nature preserves, sustainable tourism. I could build something that would honor his memory and also create a future for myself. For the first time, I felt close to my grandfather. It wasn't money he wanted to give me, it was purpose. Months later, I returned home. The family had already spent much of their inheritance. Cars, mansions, jewelry, all flaunted on social media. But when they asked me what I got, I simply smiled and said, "Just a plane ticket." They laughed again, but this time I didn't feel hurt, because I knew the truth. Grandpa had given me the one thing money couldn't buy, a chance to build a legacy of my own.